I have to kind of like hype myself up right now because I just had like a historically mid workout and I'm just very sleepy today. 2 hours of sleep. Not feeling great. Anyways, welcome back, guys. We're here with the September film rankings. Yes, sir. So September, to sum it up, I didn't watch that many movies. I just don't have that much time, man. I really underestimated how much time this like full-time student shit would take away from me, you know what I mean? So I really have to be selective in what I watch and when I watch it. I only watched like 7 films this month, but nonetheless, we're gonna rank them. We're gonna yap about it. We're gonna talk about it. So with that being said, let's get into the rankings. All right, fellas. So September 2nd, we started off with a bang. We're back with my starting off with the bangers. September 2nd, we watched Blink Twice. Blink Twice just really intrigued me because I saw people on my letterbox that I follow, they were watching it, and I saw that it was just like, you know, popular for the week. And I saw that it was Zoe Kravitz's directional debut, and that just really intrigued me. I saw this little interview with Channing Tatum where he was, I think, on Jimmy Fallon. He was on a talk show and he was just kind of talking about it, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'll bite. We'll see what's up. I thought Blink Twice was like a really fun thriller with like some horror aspects to it. You know, it's not really a horror movie, but it is really thrillery, and every now and then you do kind of get hints of horror, you know what I mean? I felt like at times that like the cuts and the pacing were a little weird, but like I feel like that was maybe like intentional, you know, considering what the story was about and what they're trying to like, you know, convey. I thought this had a great music selection, like the soundtrack, the music Zoe chose, whoever chose it was a great soundtrack. In fact, it put me on the song called, I think it's called Somebody Made For Me by Emmett Rhodes, who I thought was the Beatles when I heard it in the theaters. I'm like, oh, they got the Beatles on here. I've never heard this Beatles song. I'm a big Beatles fan. And then I come to find that it's not even the Beatles, it's this guy Emmett Rhodes, who apparently gets compared to Paul McCartney a lot. So I hear it and I understand that. But yeah, I really like that song, Somebody Made For Me, and just the song selection, I really liked it throughout the movie. It was real cozy. I don't know, I like music. I've told you guys this. This movie has a lot of like different kind of shots and angles. It's always like trying out new angles and new shots, you know what I mean? And I really like that, you know, for Zoe Kravitz, directional debut, didn't shy away from trying different things. So I really respect that, even though some of them felt a little, you know, extra, maybe a little out of place. But I respect the decision, you know what I mean? That's good. That's some good stuff. Performances were pretty good. I think the main actress' name is Naomi Ackie. I hope I didn't butcher that, but I know her first name is Naomi. I thought she delivered a great performance with a range of emotions. I really liked her performance. Channing Tatum surprised me in some bits. I've never really watched a Channing Tatum movie besides his Deadpool cameo. I mean, I've never watched Magic Mike or nothing like that, you know, so I don't know what his acting chops are like, but in this, he had some pretty solid scenes. That scene where he's like, I'm sorry, I thought that was pretty cinema. The overall story was really interesting, and it gave me kind of Get Out vibes in a way, even though it's not Get Out, but it gave me that kind of vibe to it. Story is a little, I mean, if you really try to dissect the story and think about it, you're like, that's a little weird, like, you know, this perfume thing kind of drugs people, and you know, and then it's like this whole like Epstein Island situation. If you really try to dissect it, it's kind of weird on paper, but like, just fucking go with it, okay? Just go with it. It's, you know, it's interesting. But then it gets cured with snake venom, which is also kind of like, oh, that's interesting. The plot twist that's in this movie, though, when you get to the plot twist, which I guess I could spoil because, you know, we're all about spoilers on here. My voice cracked. Spoilers when, you know, she finds out that she's been getting drugged and basically raped. I'm sorry, but that's the word to describe this. That's what's going on here. When you get that visual and she realizes this, that scene made my jaw drop. I was like, for maybe like a solid 2 minutes, I shit you know, I was flabbergasted. I was perplexed. I was poppycocked. I hope that's a word. I hope I'm using that correctly. But yeah, I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow, like you don't even really see anything graphic, but like you hear it and you basically know what's happening. It's just so disgusting. It's disgusting. But aside from all this, I did not like the ending. A lot of people agree with this. I know this. I agree with this. This is like my initial thought coming out the theater. I'm like, what the fuck was that ending? I didn't like that ending. In my honest opinion, although it is predictable, I thought she should have just bopped his ass, you know, killed him. But she chose to drug him basically forever now, and then she's like his little bitch now. Which I guess, I mean, you know, depends on how you look at it. You know, it's like some karma type shit. But like, from like if that was me, you know, if this guy has been drugging me for like years now, You know what I mean? Manipulating me and shit. Killing my friends. You know what I mean? And then doing it over and over again. I could not coexist with this, man. I just couldn't. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, hats off to her if she could do it. I could never. I need to kill this man. That ending, it's definitely questionable. I mean, you could be, well, you know, now she's basically a billionaire. I think she ends up being like a chairman of the company now that the Slayer King guy is a part of. I don't remember the details, but she's his wife, so now she's powerful, you know, in the world. So I guess in that retrospect, well, like, yay, but like from a like, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. I couldn't do that. I would kill that guy, all right? I just can't. So to conclude, I think this was a great directional debut for Zoe Kravitz. I thought she did really good. I could definitely see her making a name for herself in the horror genre if she decides to, given that this has some horror aspects to it. Pretty solid movie, solid thriller. I gave it 4 stars, no hearts. And we'll put it in B tier. All right. September 6th, we watched Beetlejuice for the first time. Beetlejuice, yeah, I'm 23. I've never watched Beetlejuice. I'm pretty sure I probably watched it when I was a child because, you know, I have an older sister and she knows Beetlejuice. I mean, I feel like I have watched it when I was younger, but like I don't recall anything, so I don't consider it me having watched it. So given that the second one was coming out, I was like, all right, I'll watch the first one because I wanted to watch the sequel in the cinemas. Sorry. My overall consensus, whatever the word is, for Beetlejuice is I didn't like Beetlejuice, the character. And the first one, just watching this, I think this has a lot to do with me living in big 2024, you know what I mean? Beetlejuice in the first movie, he's this kind of weird guy. He's just a weird guy. He gives off these kind of pedo vibes, you know what I mean? These creeper vibes. I guess that is his character. But I mean, like I said, I think me just watching this in the eyes of big 2024, where the way he acted, just it wouldn't slide at all. I don't think you could make a movie like this day. I mean, maybe you can, but I don't know if he would be as loved as he is, if that makes sense. But yeah, just watching that Beetlejuice, although he's barely in the movie, he just really rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, it sounds so weird. He rubbed me the wrong way, okay? He brushed me off the wrong way. Beetlejuice, I wasn't rocking with Beetlejuice in this one. Real creepy, creeper vibes. I like his kind of presentation, I guess. I do like his presentation, the way he's kind of built up through these little like sneak peeks, you know, through the TV thing. And like his little sign that says like Beetlejuice. Aside from Beetlejuice, the story, I like the story. I really like this whole kind of exploring the afterlife idea. That was really intriguing to me, and I thought it was really interesting. If you know Tim Burton, as always, you know his world building is always like phenomenal. I hope I said that right. I still have trouble saying that word. The shots he has of like the city, which I'm pretty sure is like a miniature set, it's really good, and I like it, you know. And speaking of that, this movie has a lot of great practical effects. It's really practical. I think it was made in 1988, and all the practical work and even the CGI work in this, I thought it was really good. And just given the time that it was made in, I feel like they really stretched and just pushed the limit as far as they could with their creatively wise. Danny Elfman score, that man's a legend. This month of September, you'll see I really came to acknowledge and really just see what a force of nature Danny Elfman is. I learned so much about Danny Elfman this month. I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I learned that he made that score, and I love that score for the movie. He did the Edward Scissorhands score. Of course, he did the Spider-Man score. You already know how I feel about Spider-Man. Done a lot of scores. This man is a certified legend, okay? Oh my God, it's a black cat. Ah! This is my second time seeing a black cat in October. It's October 2nd, guys. But yeah, Beetlejuice, it's a really fun movie, really good movie, has some great shots. Winona Ryder. I think she did really good with her character and her part, her supporting role. And of course, Beetlejuice, it has that iconic shot with the green lighting where it's hitting her face, and that looked really good. Overall, I did enjoy the movie. I liked it. Can't say the same about the character Beetlejuice in this one, but I liked the movie. I thought it was really fun, and it was surprising to me that this was like PG or PG-13, but it feels kind of rated R at times. Like they got away with a lot, you know what I mean? Beetlejuice, cult classic. I see that. I get it. I like it. And I give it 3.5 stars. No heart. And Beetlejuice, damn, I'm putting Beetlejuice in A tier. All right, so then to follow up, September 12th, we watched Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. The juice is loose. The juice is loose is like one of the hardest lines I've ever fucking heard. I don't know if OJ Simpson said that. I feel like he did maybe, but like the juice is loose. I said that so many times this month. It's insane. For starters, I was one of the folks that was not too jazzed when this was announced because you know how it is typically, like nowadays more than ever, you see them making a lot of sequels to movies that are like 20 plus years, like just movies that are like released a long time ago. A lot of the time it feels unnecessary, and that's how I felt when I saw that Beetlejuice was getting a sequel. I was like, really? Like, you know, usually it doesn't pan out too well, you know what I mean? It feels like a money grab, but I was proven wrong. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice was a fantastic follow-up to Beetlejuice. It was really good. I am surprised. So for comparison, for parallels, Beetlejuice 1, me no like Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice 2, I like Beetlejuice. I see the light now on Beetlejuice. He's a silly guy, he's a fun guy, you know, he's a little jester, you know what I mean? I see the light now. Bro was hilarious, he was on one, the juice is loose, you know what I mean? It was fun. And also I think a big part of that is because in this one, there's no minors involved. There's no minors trying to get married or anything, or, you know, Beetlejuice hitting on a minor, you know what I mean? So he's cool in this one. I like Beetlejuice now. He's a fun guy. The movie itself, I feel like it started off really slow, but then like it really picks up, and then from there on, it just doesn't look back. You know, it stays good consistently. It's really fun. I think like the magic to this movie is that like it's like really cartoony, you know, but like in a good way. You know, the visuals are fun, the prosthetics are fun. I do understand, and I did kind of feel like the complaint that there's maybe a lot going on, but I feel like it kind of works out in a way. You know, for a moment you do feel a little claustrophobic with all the storylines going on. Beetlejuice's ex coming back to life, that one was a little random to me. Jenna Ortega's character having that little romance thing with the dead boy. Winona Ryder's character with the husband, the you know, the stepmom, and there's a lot of things going on, and it does feel claustrophobic at times, but ultimately I think it works out and it pans out well. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun characters and there's a lot of fun moments. You know, Willem Dafoe, he's in this, you know, he didn't have a crazy part, but like his part was fun. You know what I mean? He's like this kind of like actor, cop, patrol, I don't know, but my overall thoughts is Beetlejuice was a great follow-up. I thought it was really fun. I think it stayed true to the original, and I liked it. So with that being said, Beetlejuice 4 stars, and I gave this one a heart. So we're putting it in A tier as well. Shout out Beetlejuice's The Juice is Loose. Oh my god, I can't even read this. September 13th, I rewatched Edward Scissorhands. I went on a little Tim Burton run this month, and Edward Scissorhands, let me talk to you. All right, so to my current knowledge, Edward Scissorhands is the first movie that has ever made me fucking cry. Ever. First time I watched Edward Scissorhands, it was really early in my teenage years. I was maybe 11 or 12. I watched it with my sister. I remember this day, and at the end of it, I was so emotionally devastated. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Because a movie has never, at this point in my life, a movie's never really affected me this way. You know what I mean? Emotionally afterwards left me just like drained and sad. And I'm pretty sure I teared up because I was with my sister. You know, I wasn't about to cry. You know what I mean? But just for starters, I think this is like arguably, I could argue this, and this is how I feel about it right now. I think this is just like the most beautiful and just tragic story ever told. It's insane. It's insane. The score to this, I was telling you guys about this. The fucking score to this. Chills.
This is how real it is to The Rock.
Danny Elfman nailed, murdered, devoured the score on this. The score on this is everything. It is everything. It's haunting, bro. And just like the movie itself, the score is beautiful and just tragic. There's so much emotions in this score that's There's so much just being told through the score. It's without the score, this movie is not the same at all. Cinema. But now that we got that out the way, let me tell you this, bro. The first like 10 minutes when I was watching this with the opening credits, beautiful opening credits by the way, and then like that opening theme score going, I got a little bit emotional. That's how I knew I was in for a ride. I was like, oh my god, what's happening to me? Like, Jesus, this movie has done things to me. It does things to me. This story, dude, Edward Scissorhands, like I mean, I don't really know what else to say. It's just tragic. It's just so tragic to me. It's insane. You're watching it. It's just a movie that really like brings out so many emotions out of you. It brings out, you know, these kind of like tender love emotions, but then also these like, you know, empathetic, you know, feeling bad emotions, and then angry emotions, and then annoyed emotions, and then, you know, it's a little funny emotions. You get a little bit of everything in this. It's I'm stuttering. I don't think you could play Edward Scissorhands any better than Johnny Depp did in this movie. The world too, once again, that Tim Burton puts you in, it's just like suburban, you know what I mean? And I mean, I feel like he does this intentionally. And the world itself, it gives me kind of Cat in the Hat vibes, like the movie. But like the world itself, it's very, I don't know how to describe, but it just feels almost like otherworldly, maybe like dystopian, I don't know. But then like it's a contrast to the actual people that live there. The people that actually live there are just really nasty people, you know what I mean? So it looks kind of nice from a visual standpoint, but like the people there that actually occupy the space are some nasty critters. But yeah, Edward Scissorhands, dude, it's just like when I was watching it, I haven't cried this much since I watched Godzilla -1, and before that I haven't cried this much since I watched La La Land. Like, when I say cry, I mean I was sobbing. I was uncontrollably sobbing by the end of Edward Scissorhands. It was just, I couldn't believe it. I don't know what happened. Like that scene where Kim hugs Edward Scissorhands like by the window, and then he gets like the flashback of when his owner was supposed to give him his hands, or his maker. Like that scene started it all for me. I kept crying and crying, and then at the end with the reveal that the old lady is Kim, and she's like, before him it never snowed, and now it snows, and I could still sometimes see myself dancing in the snow. And then you get that scene where she's dancing in the snow with the squirrel. Ah! This movie's so beautiful. By the time the credits rolled, I was crying so much that like I went like this. Like I was like, I just couldn't stop crying. I just gave in. Oh man, Edward Scissorhands. I think I've said all I have to say, okay? It's beautiful, it's tragic, it's amazing. It invokes so many kinds of emotions. It's everything. It is everything. In my honest opinion, this is Tim Burton's best work, and probably Danny Elfman's best score. This is just fucking S tier. So with that being said, I gave Edward Scissorhands 5 stars. I gave it a heart. S tier. All-timer, man. And once again, this is kind of sci-fi, like I kind of said, sci-fi. Shout out sci-fi. So yeah, S tier. Let's go, baby. Oh, it's getting a little dark. I can't even read this. September 21st, we watched Civil War. Civil War has been on my watch list for a cool minute now, mainly because of Kaylee Spaney, who I've become a huge fan of this year, and also Kirsten Dunst is in it. Shout out Kirsten Dunst. On this night, I was gonna watch Aliens, the sequel to Alien 1979, but you know, it was like 2 a.m. and Aliens is slightly longer than Civil War, and when I just looked at those two side by side, I felt more drawn to Civil War. And I could really only watch what I feel like watching, you know what I mean? If I don't feel like watching something, I'm not gonna enjoy it. It's not gonna be the same. So we watched Civil War on this night. For starters, when the movie starts, it really sets the tone with like the president kind of rehearsing his speech a little bit with the different cadences. That's really good acting right there. So right off the bat, I'm like, oh, this might be really good. I think this movie visually is just really beautiful and stunning. I liked a lot of the shots in this. I was a big fan of like that first person camera view they kept going back to kind of move along the scene. That was really good. I love that. The sound effects in this are amazing. Whoever did the sound work on this, engineering, whatever, great work, very, very immersive. And also, like, this semester I'm taking an introduction to digital and photo imagery class, so that I also kind of in that sense really enjoyed this movie due to the photojournalism aspect of it, and me kind of right now learning about different photo stuff. And I noticed a lot of that in the movie itself. For example, rule of thirds. I know of that now. This is low-key rule of thirds. Maybe. Yeah, I just felt really drawn to the story. The story was really good. The acting was damn near I can't say this word. Phenomenal. The acting was amazing by everybody, and even the weakest performance in this is still a really good performance, and that says a lot. This is a little far-fetched and it's not political. I'm not getting political, but like, I feel just given the state of our country right now, it feels very divided, you know what I mean? It feels very chaotic, especially given it's an election year. Everything feels really nasty politically wise, and I feel just this movie, I feel like that's also what made it really good for me. We're not in a civil war, but like in that sense, it felt really relatable, just how divided the country feels right now, you know what I mean? And then also this movie taught me about war photographers. I didn't really know that was a thing, but then I looked it up afterwards, after I watched the movie. I'm like, war photographers? And there is people out there in the wars taking photos and shit, which makes sense, because I mean, when there's wars and stuff, you do get photos. I've never really thought about how they actually get the photos. But in the movie, I'm like, is this really what happens? Like, because it looked a little goofy sometimes, like seeing these people with like, you know, press helmets and just taking photos. Like, if I was out there in the war being a soldier and these fucking photographers were in my way, I'd be pissed. Like watching them take just photos kind of annoyed me, but that's their job and they have to, you know, document it. So I understand that, but like, just me, if I was a soldier and there was like press there, I would just be so annoyed. Like, they would feel like an obstacle, you know what I mean? But yeah, the story, it was really fun. I like this whole kind of idea, the journey that they were taking, where they wanted to interview the president. I thought that was a really fun story, and the way they showed it. But I don't think they stuck the landing with it though. I wanted that interview with the president. I wanted that fucking interview. We didn't get the fucking interview. The whole movie, they're talking about this interview. I was looking forward to this interview, and then he gets there, he has the president there, and he just wants a quote, and the president's like, spare my life, and he's like, that'll do, kill him. Are you serious? You know, all these people died just for this? You're not even gonna get the interview? Like, be for realsies, brother. And speaking of people dying, when Kirsten Dunst's character died, man, that was an insane scene, bro. It's so ironic too, such a parallel, because earlier Jessie, the character Kaylee Spaney plays, she was like, so if I die, are you taking my photo? And then, you know, Kirsten Dunst's character was like, what do you think? And then it's just so ironic that later on Kirsten Dunst's character dies, and then Jessie takes a photo of her dying. It's so ironically poetic. And then in that scene, the emotions Kaylee Spaney displays is just S-tier acting right there. She just looks kind of frozen in shock and just kind of like processing it. Like, she kind of just freezes for a bit, and then she locks back in, realizing that she has to do this photography thing, and then goes and takes photos. Insane job right there. But Civil War, it was a really fun thriller, really fun actiony war movie. I gave it 4 stars, and I gave it a heart. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really good. So we're putting Civil War in A tier. All right, bear with me. It's getting darker, man. The days are getting darker now. I'm sorry. Oh, September 24th. We watched The Substance. The Substance did things to me. The Substance, wow. I watched this just because I saw like some buzz around it, and the day before I actually went, I saw this person saying, you really need to watch this in theaters. And I'm like, really? Just for context later on, I'm really glad I invited my sister to go with me to see this. I usually go alone, but I felt like inviting her. I didn't feel like going alone. So I invited my sister, and I'm so glad I did. I'll get into that later. But The Substance, woo! Horror is back, brothers. Real horror is back.
See, that's high. This is real, brother. This is wrestling.
My real only thoughts after this movie was wow. I was just wow. I was wowed. I couldn't stop thinking about this until I fell asleep, basically. This was just rent-free in my head until I went memes. For starters, I think this is truly a slow burn of a film. It's truly a slow burn. It's really slow at first, but like everything pays off at the end if you see it through and some. It's just a movie that it just keeps giving and giving and giving, and just when you think it's done, it keeps going and going and going. It doesn't stop. It doesn't give you a break. It's like in football, bro. It just keeps scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring. It doesn't stop. It keeps going at you. And Jesus Christ, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. This movie is just so poetic in the most fucked up way. And I say that as a compliment, respectfully. I just want to say, first of all, from a filmmaking standpoint, behind the scenes work, amazing job to everybody involved in this project. S-tier work done here. Prosthetic wise, amazing. I was blown away. I was flabbergasted. I was just at awe at the prosthetic work, the practical work that went into this, all the shots, all the visual effects, the sound, the soundtrack, everything filmmaking wise, behind the scenes wise, S-tier. Hats off to everybody involved in this. You did a fantastic job. This movie, it pushed my limits. It pushed my absolute limits. And let me talk to you guys. Me, you know, I could handle a lot. I could handle a lot of gore. I could handle a lot of graphic things. I've never been one to really be squeamish, you know what I mean? Maybe I'll make a face or two, but like, I'll never actually like feel kind of overstimulated by this. This movie pushed me to my limits. Oh my god, you know, like I'm a big Mortal Kombat guy, for example. I love fatalities. This movie, it's so graphic, it's so haunting visually. These images just get like implanted into your head, like infused, and it's intense. I guess the term for this movie is body horror. I didn't know this was a subgenre. I never knew about it until after I watched this, but body horror is fucking insane. Holy shit. And this one nails it to the max. Like I'm telling you, towards the end, like it's not that I wanted the movie to be over, but like it was just so much to take in. Like I was just overstimulated by this. I was like, oh my god, this is a lot. This is a lot. And the ending where the third clone happens, the third clone goes and tries to do the New Year's show. When the third clone, like, it's gonna like throw up something, and it throws up this like boob right here. I felt like throwing up. I felt like I was gonna throw up. Luckily I didn't. I think if I ate before this, I might have thrown up, but like I kind of gagged. I was like, oh my god, I even did it right now, just thinking about it. Yeah, this is just disgusting. It was disgusting. It was so disgusting. And then the scene where she's just spraying blood over the whole audience, that made me just the most uncomfortable I've felt in cinema since I genuinely don't know when. I don't know when. And that's where I'm saying where I'm glad I brought my sister, because I feel kind of like comforted in a way because my sister was here. And in a way I kind of felt like I wanted someone to hold me. I don't know. I didn't ask her to hold me or anything, but like, it's just, it's intense, bro. This is not for the faint of heart. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Insane work, insane storyline, insane concept, this substance thing. You know, Sue, she takes advantage of Elizabeth Sparkle. She's abusing the 1 week rule. And then this has, you know, as you guys know, permanent altercations to Elizabeth's body. And dude, like when, you know, when she wakes up because she has to refill fluids, and she's like permanently scarred. You know, it starts off slow with a finger, but then it gets more intense and intense. Like I'm telling you, like my heart dropped, brother. Like it like I felt it, because like I feel like in that moment it would just, I don't know what you would feel. It'd be like the end of the world, because this is irreversible damage to your body. And like I said, it's so poetic and just ironic how when she started this experiment, she looked fine. Obviously the industry felt otherwise, but fuck the industry, okay? But from a human standpoint, from a me standpoint, she looked fine. Demi Moore, baddie, but she looked fine. And it's just so ironic that at the beginning of the movie she looked fine, perfectly fine, but she didn't think so. She thought she looked old. She thought she was washed. And then by the end of the movie, where there's a third clone, that's an abomination, to say the least. It's so ironic how the third clone goes to the New Year's show with like her face covered with the poster of Elizabeth Sparkle, the original one. It's so ironic how it's just so like, wow. And then also the ending, it starts off showing her Hollywood star, and it ends with her dying on the Hollywood star. Yeah, this movie is just visually just scarring, haunting, but intense. It's an insane ride. I just farted. Slow burn, but if you see it through, it's amazing. I think if you're willing to watch this and you're brave enough, please do. It's amazing. It's an insane watch, intense watch. Horror film of the year, most likely. And I just, hats off to everybody. Storyline was amazing, and just a lot of emotions. Very immersive. Director Coralie F, French filmmaker. You cooked, buddy. You cooked. The Substance gets 4.5 stars. It gets a heart. And it's going in the S tier. Real horror is back, baby. And alright, to top off the month, to finish off September, my highly anticipated film of the month, we watched Megalopolis. Megalopolis, first of all, I just love how polarizing this movie is, how controversial it is right now, how, you know, how much people are talking about it in various ways. If you look at the letterbox chart for this, it's perfectly balanced. It's all over the place. Depending on who you are, it's either good or it's not. It's just like, and you're perfectly right in that sense. To start off, I think visually it was really stunning and creative. I thought it was really creative, and I thought the visuals were really good throughout. I liked the title cards. I liked like the kind of narration thing going on, and I really like this whole kind of like Roman aspect of it. It felt like a kind of almost perfect blend of modern society with like the Roman Empire, you know what I mean? And that goes back to the narration thing I was saying. It's being narrated throughout the movie, and this kind of makes it feel like a history documentary in a sense. It's not, but like it feels like you're looking at history, like something that's happened. And I'm a big fan of history. I like learning about things, so I like that. It is a little confusing at times. Like some things don't really make sense. Like I just, the time thing was never really explained. Like why he could control time, that was never really explained. I've been watching like Francis Ford Coppola interviews every night since then. And he goes to saying that artists throughout history, they always have manipulated time. So that makes me think that maybe the movie, it's not to be taken literally. It's more of like a fable. The movie's labeled as a fable, and I think that's how you should be taking it as. And I say this because it's narrated throughout the movie, so I think you're hearing this movie from the point of view of the driver, the guy that drives around Caesar Catalina. Like the way stories are and the way stories are told, they're always kind of exaggerated in a sense for, you know, artistic effect. She gazed into his eyes forever, and then they flew into the sunset, for example. Did that actually happen? No, because it's impossible. But that's maybe how that moment felt for the characters. And I think that's what this movie is. The way it's narrated and the way it's shown, I don't think it's meant to be taken like literally. I think that's just how it's being described, like a story. I hope that makes sense, because that's kind of how I've been taking this movie and digesting it since I've seen it. Also with this one, this part kind of sucked for me. I really felt the runtime with this one. I'd never really feel the runtime with movies, but with this one, I kept checking my phone like to see what time it is, and because I wasn't sure how long the movie was, but like I really felt the runtime with this one, and it felt long, and yeah, that part kind of sucked, unfortunately. Despite however you may feel about the story, you can't deny that it has pretty good performances. I was most blown away by Shia LaBeouf's performance. I know that he is a guy, and I know he's been a guy, but you know, I haven't really seen him in anything recently, and he had a really good performance. I was surprised. I was like, oh, I see you, buddy. And then speaking about the story, there were some things I like, some part of the story I like, and then some I didn't. You know, for example, like the Auntie Wow scene with Shia LaBeouf's character. Like I didn't like that scene, for example. I was like, what the fuck is this? But then on the contrary, I really like the scene where the mayor is talking to Caesar Catalina, and he's like, look bro, you leave my daughter alone and I'll give you this. That scene, that one was really captivating to me and made me feel immersed. But then some don't, like, I'm just like what is this? But then some I'm like, oh, okay. So it's really mixed. It's a mixed bag. My overall kind of conscientious, whatever the word is, my overall thoughts and take on this movie is I think it's gonna age well. I know right now it's really polarizing, and I feel like sometimes people are shitting on this just to shit on it because it's maybe a popular thing to do. For example, I see a lot of people not understanding what the movie is about. How do you not understand what the movie is about? It's really simple. To put it in simple terms, the movie is about this guy, Caesar Catalina, who wants to make a new society, a megalopolis, and the mayor and other people, they don't. They want to keep it the way it is. That's essentially what the movie's about, with, of course, his daughter being in the middle of it. That's really what the movie is, to put it in the most basic terms. So I don't understand why people are like, what is this even about? That's what it's about. It's not that complicated. But yeah, my overall feelings and take on this, I think over the years it's going to age really well with the general audience and myself included. So that's really my take, and it reminds me of Metropolis. That's also why I wanted to watch this, because I thought it was maybe inspired by Metropolis. I don't know if it was, but throughout the movie sometimes I got a little maybe like homages to Metropolis. I don't know if that's me tripping or not, but that's my take. Yeah, that's my overall take on Megalopolis. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. People are claiming this is the worst movie ever. Like, how many movies have you seen? Okay, buddy, how many have you seen? This is nowhere close to being the worst movie of all time. And another take that I really liked in regards to this is that Francis Ford Coppola, like, you know, he's an artist, he's a filmmaker. People are like, he really made this and expected to make bank. They're talking about the box office a lot, and it's like, people just don't understand. Maybe you're not making this for money, you're just making this for a creative itch because you want to make things, you know? Like me with YouTube videos. Do I make things because I think it's gonna blow up and be famous? Not necessarily. I make them because I want to make them, because I feel like making them, and I feel like this is what this is, you know? It's just like he wanted to make this. In fact, this has been in the making in his head for years. Apparently he sold like his winery for, you know, to help fund this or something like that. So this is really just a creative ambition for him, and I respect that. We need more of that. Like there's nothing wrong with this. Megalopolis, for all it is right now, I'm glad it exists and I'm glad it's made. Most of all, I'm glad people are talking about it. That's good, you know. That means cinemas are up. This is great. With that being said, I give Megalopolis 2.5 stars and a heart. I did give it a heart, but 2.5 because my experience watching it was mostly just meh, but I did like some things. So that's why it's 2.5 stars. It was 2.5 or 3 stars, but it felt closer to 2.5. And also, my cinema, I was alone. It was just me in there. It was basically a private screening, bro. I was surprised. And it was weird too, because this guy walked in like 30 minutes late, and then he left after like eating for like 20 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? It was so weird. It's going in C tier. I'm putting Megalopolis in C tier. And I really can't wait to rewatch this. I really want to revisit this at some point in the comfort of my own home. But yeah, Megalopolis, C tier. Ooh, look at that. It's nighttime again, buddies. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sitting here, you know, hearing me talk about movies. I would love to know your guys's, you know, maybe September ranks, or maybe your favorite watches of September. I'd love to hear that. But yeah, that was my September rankings. This was actually my favorite month of like film watching. It was all around really good. The worst movie was Megalopolis, and it wasn't even that bad. I learned a lot from watching it. So a great month of cinema. I can't wait for October, spooky season. I'm planning on watching purely horror movies besides theater releases. That's an exception, but anything else, purely horror movies. I'm really excited. A lot of first time watches. We'll see what transpires next video. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave some comments, and until the next video, peace out, players.